A decision made quietly in the early hours changed the direction of everything. Around 2 in the morning, while most of the country was asleep, a major financial move slipped from speculation into reality. There was no press conference, no public briefing, and no advance notice. Instead, confirmation emerged that the $2,000 tariff dividend had officially been approved and put into motion. Internal Treasury confirmation showed that President Trump signed off on a revised framework for the program overnight. This was not symbolic. It was a final step that moved the plan from discussion into execution. Decisions made at that hour are rarely about attention. They are about action. And for Americans living on fixed incomes, especially seniors, the timing carries real weight. Quiet movement often signals that systems behind the scenes are already prepared to act. As we walk through what this means, make sure you stay connected here, so updates like this reach others who depend on clear information too. What makes this confirmation unusual is not just when it happened, but how it surfaced. There was no effort to generate headlines. Instead, the information appeared through internal Treasury channels, the kind typically used only after a decision is finalized. For older Americans who rely on Social Security, SSI or SSDI, this moment matters more than it may initially seem. Quiet approvals often move faster, encounter fewer obstacles, and reach households sooner than highly publicized legislation. In this explanation, we'll break down exactly what this $2,000 tariff dividend is, why seniors are suddenly being viewed differently behind the scenes, and what this change could realistically mean without politics, without hype, and without confusion. One of the most important details seniors need to understand is why this program moved so quickly and why it did not require Congress to pass a new law. Unlike traditional stimulus checks, this payment is not funded by new government spending. Instead, it uses tariff revenue that has already been collected on imported goods. That money is already sitting within federal accounts. Because the funds already exist, authority largely rests with the Treasury Department. Once eligibility rules are finalized, there is no need to wait for extended debates or additional legislation. That is why the overnight confirmation mattered. It was not a promise, it was a green light. For retirees, this structural difference is critical. Programs that do not rely on new bills typically face fewer delays and avoid the gridlock that has slowed past relief efforts. Verification is another key factor. Many seniors already have their income, benefit status, and payment information on file through federal systems. That allows eligibility to be reviewed automatically without applications or extra paperwork. The infrastructure was already in place. What changed was how it would be used and who would be prioritized. Early discussions around the $2,000 tariff dividend initially focused on working households and middle-income earners dealing with higher prices. Seniors were included, but not emphasized. That changed quickly. Updated economic data revealed that retirees living on fixed incomes were absorbing inflation far more intensely than previously estimated. Food, utilities, rent, and medical costs continued rising while income stayed flat. Unlike workers, retirees cannot increase hours or seek higher wages. Stability becomes a disadvantage when prices climb. Once that reality was reflected clearly in the data, seniors relying primarily on Social Security, SSI or SSDI, were elevated into a higher priority category. This was not symbolic. It directly affects how eligibility is reviewed and how quickly cases move. Verification played a role as well. Federal agencies already maintain detailed records for retirees, making confirmation easier and reducing delays. Seniors were not moved forward because they earn more. They were moved forward because they have less flexibility. Many seniors have asked why this shift happened so suddenly and without public notice. The answer lies in updated economic reports delivered to the White House just days before the overnight approval. Those reports showed a sharp increase in financial strain among retirees, particularly those receiving lower monthly benefits. Seniors living on roughly $1,300 per month or less were cutting back on essentials faster than any other group. Those closer to $1,100 per month faced even more pressure, with housing, food, utilities, and medical costs consuming nearly all available income. Working households may adjust when prices rise. Fixed income households cannot. Once this imbalance became undeniable, Treasury officials were instructed to reassess priority order. The program was not expanded, it was redirected toward those most exposed to inflation. Seniors rose to the top not because of politics, but because real households were falling behind in real time. That urgency explains both the timing and the silence. It is also important to understand how this differs from traditional stimulus checks. Past stimulus programs required Congress to pass legislation, approve funding, and authorize distribution. That process often took months and stalled amid disagreement. The tariff dividend works differently. It is funded by revenue already collected. Once eligibility is confirmed, execution can begin. Treasury is adjusting existing systems rather than creating new ones. After the overnight approval, the most significant internal change was not the payment amount. It was the restructuring of the distribution process. Treasury reorganized the system into priority tiers based on vulnerability rather than broad income categories. Fixed income became a risk factor. Seniors relying primarily on Social Security, SSI, or SSDI were placed into higher tiers because their purchasing power erodes fastest when prices rise. Higher tier cases move faster, face fewer follow-ups, and experience fewer delays. Income thresholds also matter. Households earning under roughly $30,000 annually are generally flagged for earlier review, but income source matters just as much. Seniors whose income comes primarily from federal benefits are automatically marked as having limited flexibility. Monthly benchmarks showed that retirees receiving under $1,300 faced immediate strain, with those under $1,100 facing the highest risk. These figures reflect real-world cost pressure, not arbitrary limits. Another common concern is whether seniors need to apply. For most retirees, the answer is no. Eligibility reviews are automatic, using records already on file with federal agencies. However, those who have recently moved or changed banking information may need to confirm details. Legitimate requests will appear only through official federal portals. No agency will call, text, or email asking for personal information. As for timing, Treasury has not released public payment dates, but internal sequencing offers clues. Seniors placed in the highest priority tier may see confirmation earlier than others. Approval and payment are separate steps. Quiet account updates often occur before funds move. Silence does not mean inactivity. Many seniors also worry about whether this payment affects existing benefits. Treasury guidance states that it does not. The payment is not treated as earned or unearned income and does not reduce Social Security, SSI, or SSDI. It does not trigger reviews or affect cost of living adjustments. For asset-based programs, holding large balances for extended periods may matter, so using funds for essentials is recommended. Right now, the most important steps are simple. Ensure your information is accurate, check official accounts occasionally, respond promptly to legitimate notices, avoid scams. There is no need to apply, rush, or panic. This approach differs from past relief efforts in meaningful ways. Seniors were prioritized based on vulnerability and purchasing power, not added late as an afterthought. The structure reduces stress, paperwork, and delays. It reflects lived experience. Looking ahead, this shift may signal a broader change in how fixed-income households are evaluated. While no future programs are guaranteed, this framework sets a precedent. It recognizes that stable income does not always mean